Good morning, good afternoon, good evening everyone. This is actually here from Edinburgh again. After the last video on Enlisted, I thought what better way to pick up than to jump into the game that I mentioned very briefly right at the beginning of that video, Mount Blade Bannerlord. So I'm here today just to jump into one of the game modes. I'm in the dual mode at the moment, but there are other game modes, most notably the Captain's game mode as well. Captain's is probably my favourite game mode just because of the fact that it's again very unique, especially in the context of medieval games as well. I love the setting. I love the context surrounding the setting. I know that it's based on fictional context, Mount Blade, but it does seem to be loosely based around elements of early medieval Europe, and I do love the influences there as well. But today I'm in the dual mode, so I'm just going to jump into whatever I've got here. There's absolutely no one here. Well, I'll be right back. So I have joined what seems to be a populated server. I'm just going to jump into the smaller team. I'm going to go as a warrior. So this is the game. It's a medieval combat game, not quite a simulator. I defer to Kingdom Come Deliverance for something a lot closer to the lines of that. But not in contrast to the Captain's mode, you're on your own here as opposed to leading a group of soldiers, fighting other players, really doing your thing. This is a team deathmatch mode, so it's about as simple as it gets. You're trying not to get mauled by people like here. Got an absolute... Got destroyed there by a peasant. But the idea is that, as with team deathmatch modes in other games as well, that you try to maximize the amount of kills that you're getting while also staying alive. Although I will say that in this game, staying alive, especially in these kind of more chaotic game modes, it can be quite difficult. Especially when you're mauled from all sides, like I was just a minute ago. I'm not making excuses for myself though, I promise. I'm just trying to justify my skill level. Although I would say that I'm okay at this game. Like I can get by. I'm not making a good showing for myself, but I can though. I can. I'll do better this time. So you do get some quite interesting unit variation in this game. So the first one I'd gone for was the weakest but most numerous unit in Captain's mode, the the peasant as you'd call it, in many of these factions. This time I've gone the two-handed weapon wielder. You'll find different variations across different factions. There are a variety of factions covering influence from various areas ranging from the Nordic states, the Viking states, to medieval England, medieval France, and the Byzantine Empire as well. You find a range of influences from early medieval Europe present within this game. But just to get back into combat, I'll give you a glimpse of what combat looks like in this. So, got someone I might actually be able to... No, I was going to say I might actually be able to kill him, but when you get into situations like these where you've got ton of people in front of you, maybe got an archer hanging on the rooftop there. Not the best situation to demonstrate your killing prowess. Or it is a good opportunity if you're good at the game, which I'm kind of not. So, but no, I actually got killed there. So might not have been mine to claim, but I'll take it. But I find this game incredibly addictive in terms of the gameplay loop. I just find that simple loop of slash and swing, combined with the added versatility of being able to pick up other people's weapons, being able to select other types of units, being able to play in potentially quite large matches. So there's siege matches with up to 240 players on this game as well. I haven't jumped into one of those because A, it's not my favourite game mode. I just find it a bit too frantic for my liking. There's not... It feels like I individually as a player I spend more time getting to the action than actually being in the middle of the action. Climbing walls and whatnot, but I do think it's really cool from a siege simulation perspective. I wouldn't call it a siege simulation by any means, but it's certainly better than we've had from any other mainstream game so far. So I think it's great that we have an example of that in the industry at the moment. But this game mode I do prefer just because it's more conventional in nature, combined with the fact that it's easier to get into the action, easier to demonstrate the mechanics of the game as well, for your perspective. And yes, you do have horsemen as well. On this map in particular, probably not a great idea to go in cavalry unit. I just don't see much opportunity to kind of make the most of it. Also, in this game, you also have this concept of currency that you earn for getting kills, and for getting kills and bonuses as well for assists. You can use that currency to then unlock other units that you can then deploy as. So I've obviously had to start as the peasant because I had the least currency at the point. But after getting a kill or two, I've now got enough to afford a berserker again, which is great for damage. Not so great for defending though, as you can tell. But yeah, I'm just kind of back to square one here with this. But I generally do prefer shielded units in these individual, like non-squad based games, like Team Deathmatch, just because of the fact that I've got a shield. It's a bit easier to defend myself unless you're playing against a berserker, which was what I just was a minute ago, which do insane damage to shields. But something like this guy, I've got an advantage here in that I've got the shield. I don't have an advantage in this case because I am surrounded by maniacs, but absolute mad lads, but yeah. And some people are really good at this as well. Like, I find that some people are actually really good at the two-handed game. I do find that it takes a bit of skill to kind of master that art of blocking in different directions. But just to showcase, you can block in different directions. So I've got an upper block here, right to the left, underneath. I've never used underneath personally, but you do have that as well. And you do have the option to block with it, a weapon without a shield, but it's just more difficult really. So it takes a bit more skill. But in reward, you do get that added damage that you get with two-handed weapons as well. On Captain's mode, I do tend to love the Berserker type classes just because of the fact that for flanking maneuvers, they're incredibly effective. If you can find the best kind of place to pull them in along the side of an existing fight. Although, having said that, you do depend on the support of randoms playing with you to put up that shield front or that kind of that infantry front to sustain the initial brunt of the attack on the other side. Yep, destroyed me. But I find that this game so far though, I think it's I'm a massive Mount Blade fan, and I think they went in the right direction overall with the new game. But I do think that on the other hand though, that perhaps because Tale Worlds is still quite a small studio, the development speed hasn't been quite what it could be. The feature development following launch of this game in March 2020 has been incremental. I think that the features certainly come and the commitment is certainly there. It's just that I don't think that the resources necessarily there to sustain that pace, or to at least sustain a pace that would befit a game transition from early access into full launch. And this game had been in early access for nearly 2 years. It only just recently became a full launch title. And in that time, I think it's mainly been bug fixes and kind of small customization updates. So for example, you've got this currency system now within the armory as well that comes in the screen before you search for matches. It allows you to customize your troops before you head into battle. I think it's a good feature, but I don't think it's fundamentally what this game requires to move forward. And I think that's maybe part of the reason why the multiplayer aspect has maybe died down a little bit. If you look at Mount Blade Warband, this is the previous game that came out in 2011. First exposure I had to Mount Blades. You'll find that the multiplayer community for that is well and truly alive still. And I think part of it is because of the rich feature set. The modding potential can't be missed out as well. But that game, I felt a lot more complete, I think, at launch than this one maybe did. And there we go, I've won. So that is a good cue for me to jump out. But yeah, so this is the currency I was speaking about. You can get currency from your matches. I find that you get very little though, like +6 on a match, just to give you an idea of what that actually means for customization. If I'm looking at a Imperial Peasant here, a pair of boots, a basic pair of boots costs you 300. So if I were to do the math, it would take me roughly 30 games or so to kind of get that, to I guess get a pair of boots, which it's a bit of a grind. Yeah, it's not ideal. I think you certainly could earn more currency that would help the in-game economy. I think feel that bit more sustainable for the player, but at the same time, there's also quite limited availability, even now 2 years after launch, in terms of, or 2.5 years I should mention, in terms of what you can buy for your troops. So it is good that they've expanded this kind of selection of cosmetic options for your troops, but I think the priority should still be enhancing the number of game modes available, improving the availability of maps within those game modes as well. You do find that, I'll just search for Captain's game, see if I can find anything while I'm speaking about this, but I do think that expanding the capability of these current game modes, whether that be through maps, functionality, maybe even increasing the player count as well, I think these are directions that this game could take reasonably in terms of enhancing what's already there, because I think the fundamental formula is there. It's very much like Halo Infinite, which launched with a highly successful game feedback loop, which felt just incredible. Like the gameplay loop was just it was so satisfying, and it felt like for the first time in years, as many people have pointed, Halo. Mount Blade has a similar foundation. It's got a very solid foundation of gameplay. It follows on the previous Mount Blade, and it stays true to that reliable formula. What's missing though is the variety, the richness in features, and just that feeling of community around it as well. The community has not really responded to this game the way that I think maybe they anticipated they would, given the hype around it. It was 10 years in the coming, so it should be no surprise that there was a lot of excitement around the game, for myself included, but it just didn't quite land right. And I think what could maybe bring people back is moving that focus away from cosmetics, live functionality. They've not really made a shop as such yet. Microtransactions aren't really a strong element in this game, but at the same time, the focus hasn't really been, or it hasn't really been on developing, I think, these needed functionalities, or at least it hasn't been concentrated enough in terms of development resource. It could just be, again, that the studio is quite small as it is, and they've not taken the time, the chance, I should say, to expand and to focus in on that. But I think that would certainly help it a long way towards going to a truly worthy Mount and Blade successor. Having said that, I can't really say the same for the campaign. The campaign is fantastic. It really does. It builds on the original formula. It adds that enhanced visual fidelity as well. It just adds that additional quality to the Mount Blade series that wasn't really there before. If you've seen Mount Blade Warband, even in 2011 when it came out, that game could have been seen as at least 5 years old. It looked incredibly old for what it was. Although I will say that on my potato laptop at the time, it really did make for an effective running experience. But I think bringing that visual fidelity without losing the optimization aspect of this game as well, it's done it well, I think. And the campaign, I certainly go back to every now and then. I've already got 350 or so hours in this game since launch, and that's just me as a casual player. Comes back to every now and then, maybe once or twice a week at most. So I think the campaign's done it for me, but I don't think the multiplayer necessarily has. And you can see there's a 10-minute waiting time for a captain's game here. So clearly the population's not where it needs to be. Even the modding community's not really rallied around this game like they hoped it would when they released modding functionality. Quite a complex issue to kind of take apart, but I suspect that it is due to the slow development pace and the lack of a clear roadmap around what's coming up next for the game. But this has been Mount Blade Bannerlord in 2022. I hope that you've enjoyed that kind of snippet of gameplay. Let me just cancel it before it jumps me in. I think that the game, again, is in a great way so far, but it's been too little too late, I think, for the majority of players. And after 2 years, we certainly could be sitting on more with the momentum that was behind this game at the beginning. So I think for Tailworld Studios, brilliant game for you to try, by the way, if you do already have it, if you've got it sitting in your back burner in your Steam catalog, or if you don't have it and you're looking for a medieval combat game, one of the best out there, so definitely give it a try. But for Tailworlds, I would say if you're looking at a lack of resource, use the funds that you've got to put that development effort into really enhancing the map availability, the richness of the combats, the availability of weaponry as well, features that kind of pad out that core gameplay experience that you've already got, because it is all there. The pieces are all there. This is why I keep going back to it, because there's a gap in my gaming catalog that I absolutely need this game for. But there's still more to be done, I think, and whether that's a matter of development resource or otherwise, focus in on that. I think there's still hope for this game. Mount Blade Warband is still played to this day, over 10 years after its launch. The original Mount Blade, which launched even before that, is still played as well. So I think this game's got a lot of long-term potential. It just hasn't been fully realised yet. But rant aside, I hope this has been a great little experience for you, just a little snippet of the game itself, and just stay tuned for more. But have a great afternoon otherwise, or morning, or evening, or whatever it might be, and I'll catch you later. Bye everyone.